It's the one place in Las Vegas where dinosaurs once again roam the preserve. We're the coolest place to spend a hot summer day. Archaeology students really dig our artifact-laden grounds. And there are many more stories at the Springs Preserve where all that matters is what's elemental. Find your dinosaur knowledge dismal? Do you keep mixing up the Deinonychuses with the Diplodocus? Then you'll want to come to Dinosaurs Unearthed, the Springs Preserve's most exciting dinosaur exhibit yet. It's a fun and immersive way for the entire family to learn the science behind the most colossal animals that ever lived.
That's one of my favorite things about dinosaur exhibits and dinosaurs in general is that everybody of all ages is super excited about learning about them. And it's one of those topics where oftentimes if you walk into an exhibit about dinosaurs, the kids know more than the adults do about that exhibit.
If you were impressed by the CGI dinosaurs you saw on the big screen, you'll be floored when you meet some of our lifelike specimens in person. We've packed our gallery with all sorts of dinos, life-size skeletons, fossils, and even animatronics that will help clarify the finer points of our giant prehistoric friends. We've even got a few creatures that won't fit in the gallery at all.
You know, dinosaurs are huge. They're so big they can't fit into our gallery, a couple of them. So they're going to be outside for people to go walk around the property and go find these even bigger dinosaurs than the ones that they see inside. There's all this evidence about what they might have been like, but we don't know for sure. So they're proportions-wise, they're giant. They could have been loud and dangerous and exciting. We don't really know for sure. So that not knowing will always kind of capture our imaginations.
Get some hands-on time at the dig table to practice unearthing and identifying fossil replicas. Listen to the voice of a Parasaurolophus and learn about two large-scale excavations from opposite sides of the world. Once you've journeyed through the exhibit, step right into the dino world with the Jurassic World Blue virtual reality experience. After this full-circle dino exploration, we think you'll finally be able to hold a decent conversation about dinosaurs over dinner. And who knows, you might get bitten by the dino bug too.
I hope that this exhibit reignites people's fascination with this subject, with dinosaurs, and it's that childlike love of something that's mythical, but also involves science and study and learning at the same time. This topic will never get boring, and it will always be exciting. There will always be new things to learn. So I hope that people leave this wanting to start a new chapter in their own learning about dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs Unearthed roars into the Springs Preserve through September 3rd in the Origin Museum. We're so proud to be the permanent place for a very special home, Desert Soul. This 754 square foot, fully self-sufficient solar-powered home was designed and built by the UNLV Solar Decathlon team as part of the U.S. Department of Energy Solar Decathlon in 2013. Described as one of the finest examples of sustainable living on the planet, Desert Soul was the top-ranked entry in the United States and took second place in the global competition. The one-bed, one-bath home features innovative design techniques and showcases technology, energy, and material choices that make living sustainably and even off the grid a beautiful reality. Desert Soul is open during our regular operating hours, and there's no additional charge to tour this state-of-the-art home. For more information, see springspreserve.org. When people think about the Springs Preserve, they often think of the outdoors, and why not? We have acres upon acres of pristine wilderness, world-class botanical gardens, and miles of hiking trails. But even when summer's going full blast outside, the Springs Preserve has you covered with plenty of cool indoor opportunities to have fun with a little break from the sun.
Our philosophy at the Springs Preserve is that this is your place. And in that spirit, we want to create opportunities to enjoy the Springs Preserve year-round. So we have strived to create opportunities for education, enlightenment, and even fun based on getting out of the heat.
Year-round features like the Divine Cafe and Nevada State Museum are great ways to enjoy the great indoors at the Springs Preserve. But the most fascinating year-round indoor program can extend your summer vacation memories a little longer.
One of my favorite programs is the Nature Exchange. And what it is it's a natural item trading post. So people can go and explore during their summer vacations, and they can find items to bring back to the Springs Preserve and trade for points that they can use for acquiring other items. So people can collect shells or rocks, fossils, even dead bugs, and bring them back to the Springs Preserve for points that they can use for other items that they might have not found on their vacations.
But if you can't get out of town for a vacay, the Springs Preserve can help you travel back in time with Boomtown, a recreation of what Las Vegas was like in 1905. A quick train ride will drop you at Boomtown, where you can step inside historically accurate homes, a hotel, bank and shop, and learn how our forebears dealt with the desert heat. And just a hop, skip, or a short walk away is the Waterworks exhibit, a multi-level demonstration of how we get water from its sources high in the Rockies right to your tap. If you and your little ones find yourselves at the Preserve on a Thursday, come on down to Toddler Time, offered every week at 11 a.m. It's a great way for families to take part in a fun, educational activity while escaping the heat of the day. But if you need to escape for the entire week, our summer camps have got you covered too.
We have summer camps that are themed to make sure they're a unique adventure and discovery every week that are offered throughout the summer. So it's a chance for kids to come on down and enjoy the Springs Preserve for an entire week. See opportunities, see things that they wouldn't normally have a chance to visit on a normal day, and have a chance to have some fun here at the Springs.
While camps are geared for our younger guests, adults can satisfy their hunger for knowledge by visiting our sustainability gallery to learn how you can keep your modern house comfortable using eco-friendly techniques.
So one of the real stars of the Springs Preserve is the architects that designed it. All throughout the preserve, architecture elements that seem out of place are actually done with the idea of taming the heat of the desert and making sure that you're cool walking around inside the buildings. The Sustainability Gallery is the best place to see how they used rammed earth construction, hay bale construction, even elements with the window treatments to make sure that even when the temperature gets to be in the triple digits, it's still nice and cool inside the Springs Preserve.
Finally, we can't forget the Origin Museum. Origin hosts some of our coolest indoor exhibits at the preserve, including a flash flood exhibit that unleashes 5,000 gallons of recycled water in a recreation of the powerful desert floods. And don't miss exhibits on Hoover Dam, the Railroad and Historical Land Auction, and even live animals. Origin is also the home to our ever-rotating display of traveling exhibits.
The curation team understands the needs of the guests, and every year they seem to select something for a temporary exhibit that is interactive, so kids can be active in a place that's nice and cool and shaded from the sun.
With so much to learn and do indoors, the Springs Preserve's one of the best places to beat the heat this summer in Las Vegas. Find out more and plan your next visit at springspreserve.org. We love reaching out and interacting with you on social media sites such as Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Join us for updates, information, and invitations that will keep you in touch with the Preserve wherever you go. Look us up on your favorite social site, or for direct links, visit springspreserve.org. The Springs Preserve is one of the most historically significant areas in southern Nevada, an area home to artifacts dating back thousands of years ago. Properly excavating these artifacts and preserving our historical past is a mission so important to the Springs Preserve that an unprecedented partnership was formed to create its own archaeological field school, a place for future archaeologists to study and learn how to extract, record, and preserve the cultural history of the valley.
For archaeologists, usually you have to go to a wild place in the middle of nowhere to find the really fantastic archaeological remains. But we're very lucky here at the Springs Preserve. We have archaeological sites dating all the way into prehistory through contact period right here in the center of the city. And so it's a fantastic resource for people wanting to learn about the history and archaeology of Las Vegas, but also to train people how to practice archaeology and history in the Las Vegas Valley.
Bringing the idea for an archaeological field school to life involved a partnership uniting the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, the College of Southern Nevada, and even the Archaeo-Nevada Society with our trained staff archaeologists.
One of the nice things when you're working with the staff archaeologists here at the Springs Preserve is you get to go to a lot of places that our regular guests can't go to. Because we have the training, because we know what we're seeing, because we know what we're walking over, we can take these students out and train them and show them differences between prehistoric archaeology, between historic archaeology, between some of the more modern water procurement facilities, and all the historic preservation and archaeological topics that surround those things.
One of the foremost aims of the field school's research was to flesh out the chronology of the prehistory of the area. And with the entire stretch of human history spread around the various storage and roasting pits, it could take a while.
We have some early dates here at the Springs Preserve and we have some later dates, but we don't have all the dates in between sort of connecting everything. We know people have lived here for thousands of years, but we want to fill in the gaps and fill in the places where we don't have information so we can get a better idea about how much people were exploiting this site.
Local professors and students alike were excited for the real-world experience and educational benefits gained from the 8-week course.
Field work is absolutely the most important thing for students entering a field in archaeology. And at the community college level, it's very rare for students to get the opportunity to participate in archaeological excavation.
What we're doing, this is field school at the Springs Preserve, and it is taking what we've learned in classes and actually applying it into the field and learning what an archaeologist actually does in the field. Recording, surveying, digging, different techniques, tools, things like that. Little tips and tricks of the trade as well. And what I learned to get out of it, well, I want to make this into a career. So I'm hoping this will be the foundation of what I can build upon and just grow more. I want to dig, I want to record, I want to learn, and so this is perfect for me.
And a perfect opportunity to build on a community partnership that is as unique in its offering as it is in educational outcome.
It's the perfect location. It's located in Las Vegas, down the road from CSN, and it has such a wealth of archaeological resources on the property. What's unique about this field school is everything's local, and we have everything on hand that we would need to run a successful excavation, let alone a field school. All the resources that we need to run an excavation are right here on the Springs Preserve location.
UNLV students have previously worked on Springs Preserve surveys on site and with our collections of ceramics and obsidian projectile tips, but this field school went much deeper.
So it's a huge collaboration that involves many aspects of the community, and it also gives CSN students an opportunity to interact with graduate students at UNLV and people in the archaeological community.
An opportunity that allowed students to get more hands-on experience, see if the career is a good fit, make professional connections, and contribute to the preservation of the history of the Las Vegas Valley. And while they helped to uncover our past, these archaeological students were also building their futures. It may be a desert out there, but it only takes a few minutes of monsoonal rainfall on this barren soil to turn our dry stream beds and drainages into a deadly, raging torrent of water. Experience the power of this event from the safety of a raised platform in our flash flood exhibit inside the Origin Museum. This popular exhibit begins by simulating a peaceful educational foray into the desert. Then suddenly, more than 5,000 gallons of recycled water rushes through a simulated canyon, crashing around and below your feet. Both exhilarating and educational, the flash flood exhibit will leave you with an appreciation for the awesome power of desert flash floods and their impact, so you can be prepared when one hits. The show runs multiple times daily in the Origin Museum and is free with regular admission. It's unfortunate that native wildlife is often pushed to the outskirts of big cities like Las Vegas. But with 4 easy-to-add elements in your yard, you can roll out the welcome mat for wildlife and maybe lower your pest control bill in the process.
Wildlife in your yard has a great ability to mitigate any pests. The lizards are going to be eating the cockroaches, and the birds are going to be eating the caterpillars off the trees. So those can be really helpful in mitigating pest problems.
So how do you invite these beneficial animals and insects into your yard? It only takes shelter, food, water, and a place to raise young. If your yard is home to a bird bath, congratulations! You already have water covered. And wildlife of all kinds like to sip from the drip irrigation system emitters poking out of the ground. You may even have a water source you didn't realize.
There are a lot of plants that produce berries, and as well as insects are rich in water. So if you've got lizards eating insects, they don't need a supplemental water source, and some of the birds can eat berries and they don't need a supplemental water source from that as well.
As for food, shelter, and places to raise young, Mother Nature is the source to look to.
Well, native plants are really important because those are the kind of plants that the natural wildlife is using on a regular basis for food or for shelters.
Some great native plants you can use include the desert willow, a tree that feeds hungry pollinators as it blooms throughout the warm season. Then there's the creosote bush, which shelters many animals and needs almost no water. And if you love butterflies, salt bushes are known for hosting butterflies in their larval state. Other plants like native mesquite and palo verde trees provide light shade, are good for cooling down your yard, and still allow space for smaller bushes and shrubs to grow in, like lantana and ground cover. But let's not leave out some of our more iconic desert plants.
Some of the most overlooked sheltering plants are plants that are spiny with really nasty thorns or cactus spines on them. People want to shy away from them in their yard, but it's great for wildlife. Birds love to nest in trees with spines like the catclaw acacia, or even into cactuses with those great big spines. And the lizards run around those plants like there's no problem at all hiding from predators. So those are some great plants to keep in your yard.
Don't have a green thumb? Don't worry, a simple solution to hosting native wildlife is stacking boulders on top of one another. They don't have to be big either.
Bowling ball size or grapefruit size rocks stacked together can create lots of little spaces for lizards to hide into and create shelter for them.
Lizards like the spiny lizard, side blotch lizard, fence lizard, and even geckos are welcome additions to yards due to their habit of eating many of the bugs we consider pests. Speaking of pests, it's important to be careful when using pesticides.
There's a lot of systemic pesticides that people will put down to kill agave weevils or to kill, borers in trees that are soil-based. And you have to be careful with stuff like that because when you use a pesticide in your yard, the roots from some of the flowering plants may get into that area where you've applied pesticide, and you'll end up killing all of your pollinators. So be very careful when you do use pesticides in your yard.
Bees may be the first pollinators you think about when you hear that word, but butterflies and hummingbirds also visit flowers to eat nectar and help spread the pollen directly to other plants that need it.
If you have flowers in your yard, you will have honeybees and native bees, and you will be feeding all of our pollinators.
Butterflies like a buffet of lantana, blue mist flowers, and aster plants. Milkweeds give them a nursery that houses their eggs and then feeds the young caterpillars that eventually hatch.
And it's also important to keep in mind if you've got caterpillars crawling all over your plants, that's important. That's the next stage of the butterflies. You don't want to pull them off and you don't want to kill them.
Butterflies like clusters of flowers they can walk across to gather nectar. Hummingbirds, on the other hand, love red and orange tubular flowers. They'll even stick around during the winter as long as there's a nectar source available, such as rosemary, bush germander, anisacanthus, and Mexican fire. Coral fountain plants and tacomas also help hummingbirds out during that time of year.
Designing a wildlife habitat in your yard, it's nice to have an open area where birds and butterflies can easily fly in and out of. That's maybe full sun for some of the real flowery plants that you want to provide. So a nice open area in the center for a vegetable garden, flowers, maybe a patio is a good idea.
Surround this with shade trees and you can have a yard that's a welcoming place for people, plants, and wildlife.
The thing to keep in mind is in Las Vegas, you can't just use the same plant material that you used in other parts of the country, back east or in coastal California. You have to find the plants that work really well in Las Vegas. And if you do that, your maintenance will be much lower, your plants will be healthier, and you'll have a much better job attracting the wildlife that is local.
Need help building your wildlife habitat at home? Gardening classes are always offered at the Springs Preserve, where you'll find a robust gardening community to learn from and a zoology staff ready to answer questions about any mystery lizards or critters who come to call. Before you know it, you'll be hosting your own beautiful home habitat for wildlife. In a city that has cornered the market on staging stellar events, we think the Springs Preserve really distinguishes itself as a place to party and meet while taking in the beauty of this natural and cultural landscape. We provide some of the most unique and creative spaces for hosting any type of gathering, from weddings to corporate meetings. Begin planning your own event by visiting springspreserve.org to fill out our venue rental request form, or call us at 702-822-8779. It's a pretty well-kept secret that you won't find many non-stick pans in a professional kitchen. Today, Chef Cicely shows us why chefs prefer to let food stick to their pans during cooking. And she uses this technique to create a rich, savory flavor in her version of chicken scarpariello.
A lot of cooks, when they start in the kitchen, think that a pan like this, without any non-stick, doesn't work right. Well, the truth is, French pans and a lot of high-quality cookware, we actually want things to stick to the pan because it creates the basis for a whole lot of flavor, like in what I'm making today, which is scarpariello. So the first thing I did to get this beautiful fond was render some Italian sausage. Then in the rendered fat of that Italian sausage, I sauteed some chicken thighs, and I'm holding those aside. So now I have this wonderful pan with beautiful fond in it, and I'm simply going to deglaze it. That was red wine vinegar that I just went ahead and dumped in there. I am going to grab a spatula and scrape off all of that delicious goodness. Now, one of my best friends growing up is always looking for great dishes she can make that are family friendly for her kids, that she loves, her husband loves, and her kids love. So she took this dish and made it with sweet peppers instead of with hot peppers. And so now everybody enjoys it. So as soon as I've got a nice reduction on this, and I'm not gonna let it reduce all the way, I just wanna get all those caramelized chicken bits off the bottom of the pan. I'm gonna dump in a bunch of onions and let those sweat. So they're gonna cook for about 3 minutes. I'm gonna increase this heat up to high until they become translucent. So it's been about 2 minutes or so, and I'm just going to season. Just add a little bit of salt and pepper. Those onions are looking nice and translucent, or getting there. It's gonna cook for a little bit more. Next step is to add some garlic. The garlic doesn't go in too long by itself. It's cut up much smaller. It just goes in until it's aromatic, fragrant, which means I can smell it cooking off of the pan. The next item that goes in is some mushrooms. Not always incorporated into this dish traditionally, but, well, I just love mushrooms, so they're going in. Now the mushrooms, as they cook, they're gonna absorb any of that liquid that's left from the red wine vinegar deglaze. What I wanna see is that there is a minimal pull of liquid off the pan. As soon as I get that, in goes the superstars of this dish, rosemary, which is a resinous herb. I want to get them into the dish early so that all their oil and beautiful flavors cook off. And peppers. Using bell peppers for that sweet flavor instead of spicy, but this could be done with jalapenos, Anaheim, even spicy bottle peppers, you name it. Then as those peppers get soft, I'll season this dish again. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, building in the ingredients and the flavors as we go. And then as I get toward the end of this dish's time on the stovetop, I'm gonna re-add in that rendered sausage. And then I'm gonna take that chicken that I rendered off earlier And I'm going to just snuggle it right in there. And last but not least, I'm going to add a little bit of white wine. The white wine alcohol is going to cook off as this dish is going. But you could also do the same step with vegetable stock, chicken stock, or even water. And now I've got a nice little sauce going. This dish comes off the stove top and goes right into the oven for about 10 minutes to finish at 325 degrees. And 8 minutes later, I have scarpariello. And this dish is normally served with roasted fingerling potatoes. And it is just fantastic. You scoop off a chicken thigh and you bury it in sauteed peppers, onions, mushrooms. And you always make sure to get plenty of this very delicious sauce. And instead of bread or a pasta being the starch, to soak up all of that flavor, it is indeed the potatoes. And if you'd like, you can always garnish with some fresh Parmesan and also with some parsley. And there you have it, folks. My name is Chef Cicely Smith, and I'm here at the Divine Cafe at the Springs Preserve. I hope to see you here.
Need your weekend to get here quicker? Then join us for happy hour at the Divine Cafe. Our Thursday happy hour features ever-changing, specially priced food and cocktail menus, including divine sliders, street tacos, blood orange cosmopolitans, and more. But that's just the start. Pair those gustatory goodies with live entertainment, dazzling views of the Las Vegas Strip, and the laid-back Springs Preserve vibe you know and love. And you've got the perfect antidote to a week that's running long. Get happy every Thursday from 4 to 8 p.m. in the Divine Cafe. There's a lot more to discover, so join us next time here at the Springs Preserve, where life-size dinosaurs, cool summer activities, the science of archaeology, and wildlife in a happy home mingle to bring new life to Las Vegas.